Hello everyone and welcome to the social science session. So in our last video we started with the lesson motions of the earth and we talked about rotation and the effects of rotation, and we also talked about revolution. So today we will continue with the revolution, right? We'll talk about revolution in detail. So let's begin. So before proceeding further, let me just remind you, in our last video, in our last session we discussed that revolution is the movement of the earth around the sun, right? And this causes season. Now let us talk about in detail what are the other effects of revolution. So the earth is moving round the sun is stationary. So in its due course of time, the earth comes to a position where the distance from the sun is less, and again it comes to a position where the distance from the sun is maximum. So let's talk about what these are called, right? So this is the sun in the center. This is the earth's orbit. Now orbit, always remember children, orbit is not circle. It is elliptical in shape. It's like an egg, right? So I hope you can see it on the board. It's not circle at all. It is elliptical. It's an oval shaped path, right? So when it's during the movement, during the spinning and going around the sun, when the earth comes to a position where the distance is 146 million kilometers, right? 146 million kilometers. This is the distance of the earth from the sun. This is called perihelion. I repeat, this is called perihelion. Peri means near, right? And again, while while going around the sun, the distance at a point becomes 151 million kilometer. I repeat, the distance 151 million kilometer. So this point is known as perihelion. Sorry, this is called as aphelion. So this is known as aphelion, right? Aphelion, means far, right? Aphelion, this means far. The distance is the maximum between the sun and the earth, right? Now this perihelion occurs on 4th January, right? It occurs on 4th January, and aphelion, this happens on 4th July every year. So perihelion, minimum distance, and aphelion, maximum distance. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now we move on to the cycle of seasons, and we'll talk about equinox and solstice in detail. So first let us talk about the seasons and the cycle of seasons. So summer, which is the hottest phase of the year, that is, it's called summer season. Then after that we experience rainy season, where there's obviously the monsoon, the rains. Then comes the autumn. Autumn is followed by winter. Winter months are the coldest months, isn't it? Then after the winter, before the fall of summer again, we have the spring. So after winter is the spring season. So we can see all fresh bloomed blossoms everywhere, fresh bloomed flowers all around. So that is the spring season, and again comes the summer. So this is the cycle. It goes in rotation. So the summer, monsoon, autumn, then winter, then spring, and again summer. So basically there are 5 seasons. Now next we move on to, and of course these seasons, they occur due to revolution of the earth. The earth goes to in such positions that those parts are away, that hemisphere is away from the sun. So when it is away from the sun, of course it's winter time, and when it is facing the sun, it's summertime, right? So it is all because of revolution. The next thing we talk in this video is solstice and equinox. These are the next important things to be discussed. So let us first understand what is equinox and what is solstice. So the day on which the midday sun shines vertically overhead at the Tropic of Cancer or the Tropic of Capricorn, and the duration of day is the longest in that hemisphere. The day is for the duration of day is the longest day of the entire year, right? So that is called the solstice of that hemisphere. The positions, when the earth is in such a position that the sun shines on that particular tropic or either in Tropic of Cancer or in Tropic of Capricorn, shines for maximum time and the duration of day is the longest. So that is the solstice position, right? And equinox, of course, as the word suggests, the word itself says its meaning. Equinox comes from the word equal, equal, right? So when the duration of day and night, it's equal, right? That is equinox. The day on which the midday sun shines vertically overhead at the equator, right? And the duration of day and night is equal. It is said to, the earth is said to be at equinox, right? Now let us see these positions. So March 21st and September 23rd, that is 21st March and 23rd March, September. At these, on these dates, the earth, in its due course of revolution, of course, comes to such a position that the sun shines vertically at the equator, right? And the duration of day and night becomes equal. Fine? So since it's springtime in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere is having, at this position, the northern hemisphere is having spring equinox and the southern hemisphere is having autumnal equinox. Why? Because it's the springtime going on in northern hemisphere and autumn time going on, autumn season going on in the southern hemisphere. So on 21st March, spring equinox is, the earth is in such a position that the northern hemisphere has spring equinox and southern hemisphere has autumn equinox, right? The day and night, the duration of day and night remains equal. Similarly, the exactly opposite position, when again the earth is in its due course of revolution, the earth comes to such a position that again it's the same. It is in such a position that the earth gets sun rays vertically on the equator, right? So again the same thing, the duration of day and night will be equal. So again another equinox, isn't it? So now since in northern hemisphere the autumn time is going on, so it's going to be autumnal equinox in northern hemisphere, and since southern hemisphere is experiencing spring in this time, spring season during this time, so the southern hemisphere will have spring equinox. I hope this is clear to everyone. Equinox means equal day and night. Duration of day and night equal. Fine? And it's experienced on 21st March and 23rd March. September. So 23rd September. These are the days of equinox. And which one is experiencing summer equinox and autumnal equinox? I hope that is clear to everyone. Now let us talk about solstice. So what is solstice? I explained to you just now. The midday sun shines overhead, vertically overhead. It's in the earth is at such a position that the sun rays fall vertically either on Tropic of Cancer or on Tropic of Capricorn, right? So what is the result? The days are the longest one, right? The longest day of the year. So now let us see the diagram. Here on 22nd December, we in northern hemisphere, we are having winter time at that on this day, isn't it? 22nd December is the winter time. So the winter is going on in northern hemisphere. So obviously summer will be going on in southern hemisphere. So on this particular day, that is on 22nd December, northern hemisphere will have winter solstice and southern hemisphere will have summer solstice. I repeat, on 22nd December, since winter time is going on in the northern hemisphere, so winter solstice will be there on this date, and summer solstice in the southern hemisphere, right? And exactly the same thing, right? When the sun the earth goes round, spins around and revolves and comes to this position, that is on 21st June. So again here it's the solstice time, that is the vertical rays of the sun falling directly on the tropics, right? So here the longest day will be there, isn't it? So in this position, at this position, when the earth is in this position, that is on 21st June, northern hemisphere will have summer solstice and southern hemisphere will have winter solstice. Why summer solstice here in northern hemisphere? Because it's the summer time going on and it's winter time going on in the southern hemisphere, isn't it? So solstice is that position of the earth when the the sun rays fall vertically on the tropics, right? And as a result, the duration of day remains the longest. Fine. So I hope equinox and solstice, that's clear to all of you. Please learn the dates. Equinox on 21st March and 23rd September, where the day and night, the duration of day and night remains equal because the sun rays fall straight on the equator, right? Which makes the day and night equal. And solstice, that is 21st June and 22nd December. Here in solstice, the duration of day becomes maximum. Why? Because the sun rays are vertically, that is the sun rays are falling straight on the tropics, right? So I hope this is clear to all of you, and now it's time for reading the chapter properly. So do read the lesson well, and see you all again in the next video. Thank you so much.